In World War II, a German submarine called U-1206 was hiding beneath the North Sea. British warplanes were circling above. Enemy destroyers were hunting below. The crew was silent, tense, invisible. And in that exact moment, the captain made a decision that had nothing to do with weapons, nothing to do with tactics, nothing to do with the enemy above. He used the toilet. And he opened the wrong valve. Within seconds, seawater blasted through the system, flooded the batteries, and began producing chlorine gas inside the sealed metal tube. The submarine had to surface immediately, directly into the waiting guns of the British Navy. The vessel was destroyed. The entire crew was captured. One wrong valve on a toilet ended a mission, destroyed a submarine, and changed the lives of every man on board forever. This is the world that submariners live in, a world where the toilet can kill you just as easily as a torpedo. A world where 130 human beings seal themselves inside a metal tube the size of a small building and disappear beneath the ocean for up to 8 months at a time. No sunlight, no fresh air, no contact with family, no way out. And if anything goes wrong, anything at all, the ocean is waiting. Welcome to WorldUnveiled. Tonight, we answer the question that most people never think to ask. How do 130 men actually survive 8 months inside a submarine? The first thing you need to understand is the space, or more accurately, the complete absence of it. From the outside, a Navy submarine looks impressively large. It is, but that size is almost entirely occupied by engines, weapon systems, fuel, and 8 months' worth of supplies. What is left for the human beings living inside is almost nothing. A normal prison cell gives an inmate approximately 80 square feet of personal space. A submarine gives each crew member 20 square feet. That is smaller than most bathroom floors. 130 men sharing a space where each person has less room than a prison inmate for 8 months, with no possibility of stepping outside for fresh air or a walk. Military psychologists have a term for what this does to the human mind. They call it environmental confinement stress. The rest of us would call it something simpler. We would call it a slow descent into madness. Unless the submarine is designed, in every possible detail, to prevent exactly that. The beds are the first shock. There are no private beds on a submarine. There are bunks, stacked 3 high, each one a coffin-shaped box just wide enough to slide a human body into horizontally. You cannot sit up, you cannot roll over without hitting the wall. The mattress is a few inches thick. On the USS Missouri, a vessel with 135 crew members, there are only 94 bunks. That means 41 men are always sharing a bed with someone else on a rotation system. The system is called hot bunking. When one sailor's shift ends and he returns to sleep, another sailor's shift is beginning, and he climbs out of the same bunk. The bed never gets cold. You are sleeping in the warmth left behind by someone else's body every single night for 8 months. Your sleep is not your own. It is a slot in a schedule, a system, a function of the machine you are living inside. The food situation is one of the most bizarre realities of submarine life, and also one of the most important. When a submarine departs on a long mission, it loads approximately 20,000 kilograms of food for the crew. 0. That is 20 metric tons of food that must somehow fit inside a vessel that is already packed with weapons, machinery, and human beings. The solution is both practical and surreal. The food is stored everywhere, under the bunks, in the corridors, in every available corner and cavity throughout the vessel. In the first days after departure, crew members are literally walking on top of food packages piled in the hallways. As the mission progresses and the food gets consumed, walking space gradually opens up. Submarines serve 4 meals a day instead of the standard 3. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a 4th meal after midnight called midrets. Short for midnight rations. The reason for the extra meal is physiological. The stress of submarine life causes the human body to burn significantly more calories than normal. Without the 4th meal, exhaustion and mental degradation accelerate. Food is also the single most important morale tool available to submarine commanders. When everything else in your environment is identical day after day, the same walls, the same faces, the same sounds, the same smell, a genuinely good meal is the closest thing to pleasure available. Some submarines on extended missions carry ice cream machines. Some organize steak nights. The quality of the food on a submarine is, by military standards, unusually high, because the commanders understand something that is not written in any technical manual. A crew that eats well stays sane longer. And sanity, at 300 meters below the surface of the ocean, is not a luxury. It is a survival requirement. Now comes the question that stops most people when they first think seriously about submarine life: the oxygen. You are sealed inside a metal tube. There are no windows. There is no connection to the atmosphere above. And 130 people are breathing continuously, consuming oxygen and producing carbon dioxide with every single breath. Where does the oxygen come from? The answer is one of the most elegant pieces of engineering in the entire history of naval technology. The submarine uses a process called electrolysis to manufacture oxygen directly from seawater. An electrical current is passed through the salt water, splitting the water molecules into their components, hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is released into the submarine's atmosphere. The hydrogen is vented safely overboard. Each human being consumes approximately 600 liters of oxygen every day. With 130 crew members, the submarine's electrolysis system must produce 78,000 liters of oxygen every single day just to keep everyone alive. If the system fails, crew members begin feeling the effects within minutes. Emergency oxygen candles, chemical devices that release oxygen when ignited, are positioned throughout the submarine as backup. But there is a second gas problem that is just as deadly as oxygen depletion: carbon dioxide. Every breath exhaled by every crew member releases CO2 into the sealed atmosphere. If CO2 concentrations rise above 10%, the effects become rapidly life-threatening. Confusion, loss of consciousness, and death follow in sequence. Modern submarines use CO2 scrubbers, towers through which the submarine's air is continuously passed, sprayed with a chemical called amine that absorbs carbon dioxide from the air and removes it. Emergency backup canisters of soda, lime, and lithium hydroxide are positioned throughout the vessel, each one capable of chemically binding CO2 into a solid compound if the primary scrubber fails. The submarine is, on the most literal sense, a closed life support system, an underwater space station. Every gas, every molecule of breathable air, every element of the atmosphere the crew breathes is manufactured, processed, filtered, and managed by machines. If those machines stop, the crew dies. It is exactly that simple and exactly that terrifying. Water is the next paradox. A submarine is surrounded by water, millions of liters of it pressing against the hull from every direction. Yet fresh water is among the most carefully rationed resources on the entire vessel. The surrounding seawater is 97% salt and is completely undrinkable and unusable for washing or cooking in its natural state. Nuclear submarines use distillation, boiling the seawater and collecting the pure steam that condenses, to produce fresh water in large quantities. Conventional submarines use reverse osmosis filters that force seawater through membranes fine enough to capture salt molecules, producing clean water on the other side. The water can be produced, but it costs energy. And energy on a submarine is always a calculation. As a result, shower time on a submarine is strictly limited to 60 seconds. Not 60 seconds of comfortable showering with full water pressure. 60 seconds of water running, you wet yourself, you turn the water off, you soap yourself. You turn the water back on, you rinse, the water turns off, you are done. Men who have spent their entire careers in submarines describe the 60-second shower as one of the details that civilian people find most unbelievable when they hear it. Surrounded by the entire ocean, allowed 60 seconds of water. The waste management system is where submarine engineering becomes truly extraordinary, and where the lessons of history become darkly relevant. The U-1206 incident at the beginning of this story was not caused by the ocean, or the enemy, or a mechanical failure. It was caused by a toilet, specifically by a toilet valve opened in the wrong sequence. The waste management system on a modern submarine operates under conditions that make a simple mistake potentially fatal. Human waste is collected in sanitary tanks. When the tanks reach capacity, powerful pumps are activated to eject the waste through the hull and into the ocean. These pumps must generate pressure exceeding the pressure of the surrounding seawater, which at operational depth can be enormous. The valve sequence is critical and non-negotiable. The interior valve opens first to allow waste into the ejection chamber. The exterior valve opens second to allow ejection into the ocean. If this sequence is reversed, if the exterior valve opens while the interior connection is still active, the pressure of the ocean outside will drive seawater back through the system with explosive force. This is exactly what happened to U-1206. A toilet valve in the wrong sequence drove seawater into the battery compartment, generated chlorine gas, and ended the mission. Modern submarines train their crews exhaustively on the waste system. It is not treated as a maintenance procedure. It is treated as a tactical operation. And finally, the hardest challenge of all, not the oxygen, not the food, not the water, the human mind. Months without sunlight, months without a phone call home, the same walls, the same ceiling, the same faces, the same smell every single day, the same mechanical sounds that never stop, no weather, no seasons, no outside world of any kind. Military psychologists describe submarine service as one of the most psychologically demanding environments a human being can voluntarily enter. Depression, high anxiety, and claustrophobia are the three primary threats to crew performance and safety. Claustrophobia alone is a disqualifying condition during submarine selection. Even mild traces of it during psychological screening result in immediate rejection because claustrophobia at 300 meters below the surface is not a manageable condition. It is a fatal one. To combat the psychological deterioration that extended isolation produces, submarine designers have built specific countermeasures directly into the vessel's architecture. The lighting system changes color throughout the day. Natural white light during daylight hours, shifting to red light. At night, to give the crew's circadian rhythms an artificial day-night cycle in an environment where the sun never exists. Small social rituals, competitive games, movie night. S and the steak dinners mentioned earlier all serve a function that goes beyond recreation. They are mechanisms for maintaining the psychological cohesion of a group of human beings who are under constant, invisible, relentless pressure from a world that is trying to kill them simply by being what it is. In October 1944, the USS Tang fired a torpedo that malfunctioned, circled back, and struck the submarine that had fired it. The crew of a submarine is not just fighting the enemy. They are fighting the ocean, the machine, and their own minds simultaneously, every hour, every day, for 8 months. And the margin for error in all three of those battles is the same. It is 0. This is World Unveiled, the stories that nobody tells you. Subscribe, because next week we go somewhere even more extraordinary.